there's a famous quote. Many of us know it here in this KLC because we studied divine justice from Ayatollah Mutahari about the possibility of counting a person who does good just for the sake of it without hidden side motives. That such a person could be counted among the muwahideen, even though they denied God or religion. The question is, counted as muwahideen on the Day of Judgment, resurrected as a muwahid on the Day of Judgment. The question is, would a person who has psychological need, let's say, due to so-called savior complex, so there's people who are diagnosed with something called savior complex, to help and do good, or a person who has some dependence on the sense of satisfaction after doing good, be considered someone who does good for the sake of it or not?
What is the last part? A person who has some...
Yes. Some people may have a need based on their psychological, have a psychological need to do good.
Everyone needs to do good. We as human beings, we feel happy if we do something good. And we need to do good things. We need to love people. This is the main thing. If you don't feel good when we do good, that's because of a problem.
But, maybe some may say that these are selfish reasons. This is not doing good for the sake of good. This is doing good for selfish reasons.
That's another issue. Yeah.
And this person may not really be, first of all, he's denying God. Second of all, he's doing good for selfish reasons. So
yeah.
How do we, yes.
I think we have discussed this in Akhlaq series of the Hawza, when we talked about Hubbuz Zat. Sometimes we say, we human beings, whenever we do something good, we feel good. Sometimes we say we do good things just because we want to feel good. These are two different things. For example, a mother, when is sleeping, child is crying, is hungry, mother wakes up, gives food to the child, or feeds the child. When the child is happy, mother gets a sense of satisfaction, although she had to sacrifice her sleep, etc. But when mother sees the child is happy, mother is happy. But do you think mother wakes up and goes and prepare food and give to the child in order to feel happy? No. He wouldn't do this in order to feel happy. But when he does it, he feels happy. Whenever we act according to our moral motives, there's a existential reward, and that is you feel good, you feel happy. If you do it for the sincere intention, Allah will also reward you. But there's an immediate reward when you do something good, and that is your pleasure. So, to be happy after you do something and to do it in order to become happy, there are two different things. And also about the first part, the idea was that Allah the idea that the people who are truthful in dunya, even if they have not reached the position of consciously declaring faith, they might be resurrected with Tawheed Fitri, because they were truthful people, seeking for the truth, but they didn't manage to find it. Then another issue is when someone does something with the niyyah of this thing being good. We said this is sufficient for this action being amal saleh. Of course, if you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it might be better, unless you go higher than doing for the sake of Allah by not seeing any value in your action. Not, you say, no, I have not done anything to ask Allah to reward me. I have not done anything for the sake of Allah. So there are different levels. But anyway, my understanding is, and we argued for this in the series on Akhlaq in the first year of Hawza, that one of the right intentions, or you can say there is husn fa'ili, goodness of the agent, when the agent does something because of wajhul fi'l, because he finds this action good, he does it. We have mentioned cases there, argued for that. Okay.
Thanks, Sheikh. No, it's a very deep subject, and I'm sure calls for more discussion. We have a few more questions as well. This one came through as follows. How can you feel the difference between your soul, nafs, your spirit, ruh, and your conscience, sense of right and wrong that guides you, please? How can you feel the difference between... I disconnected. How can you feel the difference between your soul, nafs, your spirit, ruh, and your conscience, sense of right and wrong that guides you, please?
Human soul and spirit are the same, in my understanding. When we say soul has different stages, but when it comes to human soul or nafs natiqah, I think it's the same as our spirit, or at least it's a great part of our spirit. And this soul has different faculties, different aspects. One of them is that is given ability to distinguish between right and wrong. This is conscience. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. This human soul is inspired to understand what is right, what is wrong. There's a moral conscience in our soul.
Thank you very much. And we have also a question. What Quranic ayahs are best to write on the gravestones of a Shia believer?
Sorry?
The question is asking what Quranic ayahs are best to write on the gravestone of a Shia believer.
Of course, first we have to make sure that this gravestone is not going to be treated disrespectfully. Otherwise, better not to write Quran or anything with Allah's name. If people are going to walk on it, etc. But if it is going to be respected, then I don't think there is one ayah particular that everyone should write. Maybe an ayah that person very much loved, very much lived according to that ayah. Many things can be written. Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbika radiyatan mardiyatan. Can ayah, one ayah, they can mean it. But Amir al-Mu'minin said that he wrote on the grave of Salman, وَفَدْتُ عَلَى الْكَرِيمِ بِغَيْرِ زَادٍ وَقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, or something like بِغَيْرِ زَادٍ مِنَ الْحَسَنَاتِ وَقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, I think. It's not ayah. I arrived at Kareem, who is Allah, without having any provision from Hasanat or Qalb Salim. I don't have Hasanat, I don't have Qalb Salim, because إِذْ أَقْبَحُ شَيْئًا حَمْلُ الزَّادِ عَلَى الْكَرِيمِ. Because it's very bad when you go to the house of Kareem to take food with you, as if Kareem is not going to give you food. They have brought my own food, I brought my own fruit. Sometimes we are friends, very close friends. When we go to the house of each other, we take something from our own home. For example, we made also some food or some cake we take, that's, if it is a sign of brotherhood, sister, it's fine. But if you go to someone's house and take this as if it's not available there or it's not going to feed you, it's a kind of insult to Karim. So, it said Amir wrote this on the grave of Salman. Yes.
Thank you, Shaykhna. The last question is this one. The last question is, what is implied under false vow? So what is a false vow? Just the fact of pronouncing qasam about something you don't mean, or something that's untrue, or could, let's say, could it also be a solemn promise, and then you betray this promise afterwards? Could that be included? What exactly is meant there? What is a false vow?
In which context?
So if somebody makes a solemn promise and then they fall short of that promise, or they betray this promise, then would that also be a false vow?
The one that we said in the hadith?
Yes, in hadith.
Yeah. It doesn't have details, but the main example would be to make qasam for something that it's not true. Okay? It's for a statement. It can be applied to when you make a promise and you don't do it. But this is not the certain scope. The certain scope is when someone makes qasam and doesn't know or is not sure that it is not right. Still makes qasam to deceive the other person. This is the most certain extent of the hadith.
Thank you, Shaykhna.
You're welcome.
Alhamdulillah. We had a very lively question Q&A.